Having discussed legislative politics in the Parliament and in the Council, we now turn to the discussion of how these two chambers jointly adopt policy. The EU has three legislative procedures. Under consultation, the Commission makes a proposal, then the Parliament issues an opinion before the Council adopts, rejects or amends the proposal with unanimity or double majority, depending on the policy area. Note that the procedure only requires the Council to wait until the Parliament has issued an opinion before acting. The Council is under no obligation to take any notice of the content of the Parliament's opinion. Under consent, the Council, acting on a Commission proposal, adopts a common position by a double majority or unanimity, again depending on policy area. Then the Parliament gives its assent by simple majority. In some cases, the assent of an absolute majority of the MEP is required. The main legislative procedure in the EU is called the ordinary legislative procedure. Here, the Commission submits its proposal to the Parliament and to the Council. The Parliament, by simple majority, issues an opinion, which may include some proposals. The Commission then decides whether to include any EU proposal in the revised version that it forwards to the Council. The Council can, with double majority, either accept the proposal or adopt a common position. If the Council incorporates all of the Parliament's proposal in its adopted text, it becomes law. If not, the procedure continues to the second round. In the second round, the Parliament can either reject or amend the common position of the Council, now using an absolute majority. If no such majority is reached, the common position of the Council becomes law. If Parliaments amend, the Commission issues opinions on the amendments and sends the proposal back to the Council. The Council can adopt those of the Parliament's amendments that are supported by the Commission with double majority, but it needs unanimity to adopt Parliament amendments not supported by the Commission. If the Council still do not accept all of Parliament's amendments, a conciliation committee is convened. The conciliation committee is composed of representatives from all member states and an equal number of MEPs. The Commission is present as a facilitator, but have no formal voting rights. If there's no agreement at this stage, the proposal fails. If an agreement is reached, it needs to be adopted by a double majority in the Council and by a simple majority in the Parliament to become law. Otherwise, the proposal fails. Now, the ordinary legislative procedure is complex, but the spatial model of legislative politics provides a useful framework for an analysis, given some simplifying assumptions. Now, assume that there's only one relevant policy dimension. Assume that the status quo is to the left, and the Council and the median member of the Parliament lies to the right. Also imagine that all MEPs shows up to vote, so there's no difference between the simple and absolute majority. Finally, assume that the Council consists of seven members, and a double majority requires the support of 5 out of 7. And to solve this game, we start with the final stage and work our way backwards to the start, identifying who has the power to make proposal to whom and under which conditions. We see that at the final stage, a double majority in the Council and a simple majority in the Parliament needs to prefer the proposal to the status quo. Comparing the double majority pivot in the Council, Government 3, with the median in the Parliament, it's easy to see that the Government 3 is closer to the status quo than the Parliament median. Hence, a proposal preferred to the status quo by the Government 3 will also be preferred by the Parliament. As the Commission is to the right, the relevant question is what is the best winning proposal from her perspective. We note that Government 3 is equally distant from the position of Government 5 as it is from the status quo. The position of Government 5 is also preferred to the status quo by the Parliament. Also, given that the Commission makes its proposal, there are no other proposals that commands a double majority in the Council, as Government 5 will block any change to the left and Government 3 will block any change to the right. The Parliament will also reject any proposal to move the policy to the left. Note also that any current policy located between 3 and 5 will not be able to command a change in any direction. While this framework simplifies the analysis, it hinges on some strong assumptions, in particular regarding the dimensionality of the policy space and the extreme location of the Commission and the Parliament, as well as the status quo. Also, the assumption that all MEPs shows up to vote might overstate the empirical ability of the Parliament to secure an absolute majority in the second reading. It may be argued that the Council still has the upper hand, as it can adopt a common position in the first reading that is harder for the Parliament to amend or reject than to accept.